Hey, listeners, it's James.
And Chelsea.
And you're listening to Lights,
Camera,
Action Podcast. Okay, here we are again.
Yes, indeed.
And it's going to be especially great for Chelsea because we're going to be talking about
Vincent Price, the original master of the macabre.
Which I'm glad she knows about him because I know very little.
You know what? And I know quite a bit about him, but actually, in doing my research for this, I did find out a lot of stuff that I didn't already know, which makes it even better now that I know more about him.
Right.
He's such a freaking legend.
And the last time, if you were listening, we got onto part 2 of Charlie Chaplin. And at the very end, you were introducing me to House on Haunted Hill.
Yes. What did you think of House on Haunted Hill?
Oh, man. It was good for what it was. I mean, definitely 50s-esque.
1953, you know.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those kind of things where it's just like, all right, going into this oldish movie, you're going to have oldish
It's definitely not one that...
expectations.
They did not intend for that to be taken really seriously. Which is what, I love about that, because even, back in the day, they were starting to do things like that.
Yeah, and me and you can both agree that one actress is only on there for screaming.
She is. You know what? They're like, oh, she's a scream queen, let's just do that.
Yeah.
She can't act in any other aspect of it.
She was just completely over the top, dude.
Let's just do that.
I was just like, because I looked at you and I'm like, is this all she does?
Pretty much. She screams and she overacts her lines. And you know what? I even looked at the credits at the end of that, and I can't remember what her name is.
Yeah, Scream Queen, the OG.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean... What is her name?
So, to me, the Scream Queen OG is like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, I was going to say pre-Jamie Lee Curtis. That's the name I was thinking of.
Well, yeah, except Jamie Lee Curtis is also a good actress. So.
Right, yeah. So I guess really not in the same category. Oh, man. It's goodness. Sunday, and it's been a long week.
It has been a long week.
Oh,
I had to work today.
Yay.
Which doesn't usually happen on Sunday, but
here you are.
But you know what? All the Halloween stuff's going out at the store, so...
That's good.
That makes it more incentive for me to go there.
So if you ever go to the at-home store, wherever you're at... We know that we've been putting out Halloween stuff already.
If they're not, you should be like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Apparently it's trending on TikTok.
Oh, really?
According to Haley, because she told me that the other day.
Interesting.
I don't do TikTok, like I said, so...
Well, and I know my kids like to look at different Halloween stuff on YouTube, and there's already a guy out there, or at least quite a few people that are already going through at-home stores, just going through all their Halloween animatronics. And
they're starting to do all of it already. They're going to Home Depot and every Lowe's and all them places have all that stuff.
It's crazy.
I watch them every year.
It's only July.
It's never too early, dude.
Yeah.
I start thinking about Halloween in April.
That's true, yeah. And there's some people out there that think of Halloween all year round.
Well, I actually do that too, but I start seriously thinking about Halloween in April.
That's true.
Costume, decoration, all the stuff. So.
And of course, while we're talking about Halloween, we're talking about the horror master himself, Vincent Price.
Yep.
So, I guess we should get started on this guy.
Him?
Yeah, absolutely. So.
You want to start, or should I start?
Yeah, either that or we can Rochambeau it.
Alright.
Rock, paper, scissors for it.
Okay.
Well, 1, 2, 3. Oh, again. Again. Oh, alright, I'm starting. Yeah, I won something
today.
You
can't see us, but we did the same sign twice.
Yep. We started with scissors, then paper, and then I beat her. Rock on the scissors. Crush. So. Vincent Leonard Price Jr. was born in St. Louis, Missouri on May 27th, 1911 to Marguerite Cobb and Vincent Price Sr. And gosh, I was just thinking, that is literally 6-hour drive away from here.
Is it?
St. Louis, give or take 6 to 8 hours. So he's pretty dang close.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, St. Louis, when you have Charlie Chaplin all the way in England.
You know, and speaking of, it's funny because you would not believe how many people, when they're getting introduced to Vincent Price and they don't know anything about him, think that he's not from America.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, the cadence of his voice and, like, all that, you know, he had, like, he had a really interesting register.
Yeah,
And it wasn't exactly an accent, but, you know, still, a lot of people thought that he was from somewhere in Europe.
And that's exactly what I was thinking, too. Like, the way he looks and, like, the mustache kind of look as well to him, I'm like, yeah, that definitely looks like something from England.
You know,
but I was way wrong.
Had a very Renaissance look.
He's definitely from the Midwest area.
I know, that's so cool.
And then you found out something interesting about Vincent Price Sr.
I did. Vincent Price Sr. says, I found out he was president of the National Candy Company.
Nice.
And a prominent member of the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so yeah, he was born into a very
wealthy type
community-oriented family.
Yeah.
Like that was like tight knit. Like, you know, they had like the whole like block party stuff. You know, the whole block and like the whole potlucks and whatever. It was like a really big community thing.
And not your average block party. We're talking like Great Gatsby.
Right, yeah. The word prominent pops up a lot pertaining to his parents.
And his grandfather, Vincent Clarence Price, who invented Dr. Price's baking powder, was the first cream of tartar-based baking powder that they've ever seen. And that pretty much secured the family's fortune. So you had Dr. Price's baking powder from the grandfather, and then you had the National Candy Company from his dad. And so he was pretty much like already just part of the upper class citizens of the 1900s.
He didn't even need to become a super huge movie star like he did.
Exactly, yeah. Like, he definitely had the choice to just write it out if he really wanted to.
Right. Also, so did you say that the grandfather was Vincent? Mm-hmm. So wouldn't that make the dad Vincent Jr.?
I guess it probably would, yes.
And then he's Vincent the Third.
Yeah. When I was reading the research of it, it said senior, but then it makes sense that the grandfather would be
too.
senior, junior,
too,
and then junior times 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, what happened in that area? But I think that his, because I think what classifies you as not being a junior is if you have a different middle name. So the grandfather had a different middle name of Vincent Clarence Price. So then the dad probably had Vincent Leonard Price. And then, of course, Vincent Price was Vincent Leonard Price Jr.
Well, see, I didn't know that. I thought it just had to be the first name.
I believe it's the middle name that changes everything. Because then you wouldn't no longer be exactly the same.
That's interesting.
And then, therefore, your junior aspect just kind of erases after that.
Yeah.
So I believe that's how it goes.
Okay.
But
I didn't know that.
I don't know either. Maybe. So.
And I did like this little thing I found out about Marguerite, Vincent's mother.
Okay.
Says that she was a strong-willed woman, which is awesome.
Yes.
'Cause back in 1911 or whatever. That's pretty damn cool. And then she also taught at a progressive elementary school, which she helped to establish.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Which was really cool. So all in all, this guy had a great life. He had a great childhood.
Yeah, I mean, definitely had it made.
Yeah.
That's why when I was reading about his stuff, I'm like, wow, it's crazy how different actors, actresses, this and this is a night and day difference. Like Charlie Chaplin and born into poverty,
right?
And then now you got Vincent, which is definitely not.
Right. And then with Vincent, the thing that's most amazing about him is that, and everybody that knew him said the same thing. It said that no matter how, he was from privilege. He shot up pretty quickly in the acting space and all of that. Mm-hmm. He was always the most generous, the most heartfelt, the most giving person anybody ever met.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
He was from privilege, but he did not,
act
just
privileged.
hold that over people.
Right.
He loved everybody.
And in that time period too, we're talking like So what? He was born in 1911. So then, by the time he went to high school, I mean, he would have been what? So, let's say 14, 15. So it'd have been 1926. Just got done with the Great Depression era.
Yeah.
So during that whole thing, obviously he was probably okay during the Great Depression, but still, like, I mean, they didn't, like I said, there's, for the early childhood, oddly enough, there's not a lot of information on him.
No, not really.
Because you didn't find a lot of information in
Well,
early
I
childhood
do
either,
have. I
did
mean,
you?
it says I found that at 4 years old, he was in his first stage show.
Oh, yeah.
He's played a water sprite in some community production of some. Didn't actually catch the title.
What's a
of what it
water
was.
sprite?
Like like in those like the mythical like fairy kind of realm stuff. There's
Oh.
sprites. There's like tree sprites and the water sprites and
Oh, okay.
fire,
Okay.
all that stuff.
I was like, water what? What's a water sprite?
So
I'm a watered
yes,
down sprite.
a 4-year-old Vincent Price was a water sprite for his first play. Yes.
Hey, man.
You
All
heard
right.
it here.
Yeah.
He also, it's mentioned that he had 2 older sisters and a brother also, which I didn't get any names on them.
I
In
don't.
my research.
I don't think I did either. Honestly, I think they just say brother.
Yeah, he had 2 sisters and a brother.
Yeah, I think that's all I.
And I
heard
believe
so
he was
far,
the
too.
youngest,
And yeah, I want to
if
say
I
that.
remember correctly also.
Right, and I believe that's what it was too. And if we fast forward just a bit, Price did attend the St. Louis Country Day School and took a summer course at Milford Academy in Milford, Connecticut. So he did a little bit of that, which was pretty good. I mean, Country Day School, I believe, is like a private school out there in
That sounds like something that would be
Connecticut.
private. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. It's like took a summer course at Milford Academy, so Academy is going to be something of that sort, anyways. So, but yeah, he did that, and then in 1933. So by then he would have been, gosh, what 1911, 1933. I can't do math today.
Well,
22 years old.
Ever, so.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah.
He graduated with a degree in English and a minor in art history from Yale University.
Mm-hmm.
So out of all the universities that he could have chose or schools that he could have went to, he went to Yale. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and graduated, so you gotta be a smart cookie.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that ever... God, I wish I got to meet him. Everybody that ever... in interviews with anybody that ever met him said that, he was very intelligent, very, introspective. He would often be, he would talk to everybody and he would light up a room, but he would also, be over in a corner sometimes, just like, gathering his thoughts and
Doing
all that.
Doing his own thing. Decompressing and whatever, too.
Right.
Right. And what's kind of funny there is, or interesting as well, is that when he was at Yale University, where he worked at, worked on the campus humor magazine, the Yale Record. Mm-hmm. So that must have been pretty cool too.
Yeah, I mentioned, it did mention in my research that he also enjoyed writing.
Oh, okay.
And it said that after all was said and done, he had written like 100 or so like newspaper editorial things, and he had an autobiography that he wrote with his no, the autobiography wasn't with his son. The Encyclopedia of Monsters with his son, Vincent.
Oh, okay.
Vincent,
Okay.
The third. He wrote a book with Victoria before he died. He had an autobiography. And then him and his second wife were really into the culinary stuff. So
yeah, and that's
they
what
did
I
like
wrote
an
about
international,
too.
International cookbook recipes thing that they did together.
Yeah, I have more information on that later too.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
kind of cool. So he kind of had like a wide variety of different things, and not just the film. I mean, obviously, film is his lady. He has to do film type stuff.
Theater
or
was
theater in general.
always the most passionate mistress, the most mistress he was most passionate about.
Right. True. Yeah.
Because I mean that's where he started. I mean that's where all the great ones seem to start.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I know after teaching for a year, he entered the, I want to say Courtauld
Institute. Yeah.
Yeah, Institute of Art in London, intending to study for a master's degree in fine arts, but instead he was drawn to theater and appeared for his first time on stage professionally in 1935 for the play Chicago. Yes. At the Gate Theater in London. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Gate, that's cool. The Gate was actually like a little theater club.
Yeah.
Kind of like underground I'm kind of imagining like an underground thing.
I'm kind of imagining like, gosh, what is it? Oh, the fun house that we have here in Lincoln, just over here, just not that far away from me on 56th Street.
Okay.
It's oh goodness, why can I not think of it?
Funhouse.
I want to call it it's called the Playhouse.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But
That sounds more familiar. You said Funhouse.
I want to say Children's Playhouse, but it doesn't sound familiar. I'm blanking out right now, but there's a Playhouse, and there's a couple other places here in Lincoln too, like Nebraska Westland Theater and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of into that same category in a way of small theater productions, which is kind of cool.
It was kind of cool. And you know what else? I found this little snippet about here when he was in Chicago, and they were casting people for that because they needed people to, assume American, whatever, because it was Chicago.
Yeah.
So they were in London, and one of the reasons that he got cast, it says, is because he could chew gum and walk at the same time.
I mean,
which is because gum was like relatively new to London, so they didn't
So as long as you could do both of those things, the minuscule of minuscules.
Like, really? That's all I have to do to get it?
Right. And I mean, they later on put that into thing where it's just like, I don't even know if you can do this. Well, I can chew gum and walk at the same time.
Right.
So
But you got it.
Yeah. You got the part.
Wait, you want me to read the line? Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So all you're saying is I have to go on to like TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, and just chew gum and walk, and then maybe I can get casted on.
What makes me crazy is we were talking about Charlie Chaplin last week. We're talking about Vincent Price this week. Can you imagine them being around when freaking TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff?
Oh my gosh!
And all the all the technology and the phones.
It would explode.
Right.
They'd be better than Logan Paul. Sorry, Logan Paul, but they would be better than you.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, these are heavy hitters. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then so I mean, we could definitely say he chose the right career move, as we find out later in life.
He did. And yeah, so at this point, he had all but completely abandoned any academic, pursuits that he was making. He had decided that he was in love with acting. This is what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
He was cast in the lead role of the Gates' next show after the Chicago, which was Victoria Regina.
Yeah. Yep.
And
he was playing the role of Prince Albert.
Yes, he was. And later on, when the show moved to America, that started showing in New York, and he came with it.
Yep.
Because everybody was just so, captivated by him in that role.
Because there wouldn't be any Victoria Regina without him, and so he literally brought it to New York City.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
that
then
it's just one person.
Yes.
One person.
And also, it was meant to be a showcase for Helen Hayes, which we know is the Queen of Broadway. So the two of them, I bet that was amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to see that?
It'd be like the modern day Hamilton.
which I've also not seen.
Oh, what?
I told you that.
It's on Disney Plus. Just look it up.
It's on Disney, but I can't afford Disney Plus.
Then come over here and we'll watch it.
Bitches be broke.
It's only 3 hours long. Bitches be broke.
I don't mind something 3 hours long. I'm not scared of long run times.
Yeah,
I've sat through plenty.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, I kind of had my doubts going into it because I'm not a huge theater person on certain things.
So I probably should.
Yeah. But I mean, like, my favorite movie is Aladdin. So when they did a theater production of Aladdin, and I went to go see it at the Orpheum in Omaha. It just blew me away. Yeah. It was so good.
I bet that was cool.
It was so good.
You know which one I always wanted to see on stage was The Lion King?
Oh, yeah.
I really would like to see that one on stage.
Oh, the Venya! That would be awesome.
I know. And when that came out, it was just like, it was just everywhere. Everybody was like, oh, Lion King is so good. You have to go see it. Thanks, baby. And I was kind of young when it came out, so I didn't have anybody to take me to go see that because I'm kind of the only one in my family that is into the whole theater thing.
Right. And since we're talking about plays, it's a little different, but when we took a family trip to Disneyland in California, of course, and it was 1996, and so I was 11 years old, and my sister was about 8 or 9. And we were just going around doing stuff, and then they had a play of Pocahontas going on, and my sister was huge with Pocahontas being that big at that time as well. They had a play. We saw that play 3 or 4 times, and I was like, oh my gosh, can we just not go to this play again? I'd rather go see Shamu.
She's like dragging you around. Come on, we gotta go see that.
Yeah, exactly. So I can just imagine my dad now of how he was back then, just being like, "Oh my gosh, fine, let's go again." And then,
now you totally get it now.
Yeah, and I asked him about that, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't mind it. I actually liked it." And I was like, "I got annoyed after the second time." I was like, "I do not want to go back."
Like, don't make me.
Right.
So that show opened at the Broadhurst Theater in New York on December 26th of 1935.
Yes.
And Price from that show, he made the cover of Time magazine, which is a theme already on this podcast, because last week we talked about how Charlie Chaplin was on the cover of Time magazine, or the Time. There's something that was
the Time cover or whatever it is, and I'm guessing because this must have been Time magazine for Vincent Price, because that should be around the time that the magazine
this was 35, out. So I'm guessing it was around by then. He was only 24 years old.
Wow.
And 24 years old at that time. Rocketed into already people.
So I wonder, because I can't remember how old was Charlie Chaplin when he got into the Time.
He wasn't that old either.
He was young too, wasn't he?
Still in his 20s.
Yeah, I want to say about around the same age.
Yeah.
And then that was earlier, so I think that was 1927, 1924.
Yeah.
In the 20s area. Let's just put it that way to be safe, because we're not sure.
I'm pretty sure he was still in his 20s.
But it's crazy to know that they are also acting around the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, Charlie was, he's had a few years on Vincent Price, because, 1989.
1889.
1889, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Charlie Chaplin reincarnated.
To 1911, that's a few, but they were,
at least a good 15 some odd years.
Yeah, something like that.
Somewhere around there. I can't do math. And then, basically, when he moved to New York City and took that Broadway production of Victoria Regina with him, he was the opposite of Helen Hayes in the title role of Queen Victoria. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of interesting how they had that. And the funny side fact to that is that Helen Hayes was actually considered the first lady of American theater at that point in time.
Yep.
So she was also the second person and first woman to win the EGOT. So that stands for an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award.
Yep.
And
the EGOT, as they call it.
Yeah,
in
the
biz.
EGOT. Yeah. In the showbiz. And the first person to win the Triple Crown of Acting, too, as well.
Oh, okay.
So she won all that stuff.
Nice.
And it's like, holy moly, dude, that's a lot of things to go through.
Yeah, I don't. I know she was the first lady of the stage. I don't know much else about her, but that's really cool.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's crazy to think about that. I mean, here he is honing his craft. And I mean, you're, 23, 24 years old. Mm-hmm. And I believe she could be about the same age, but maybe a little bit older if she's playing.
I kind of feel like she was older.
Yeah, because if she's playing Queen Victoria, I guess she would be a little bit older.
Yeah.
And doing all these things by then, yeah. So you got a young Vincent Price with a seasoned veteran of Helen Hayes.
And him basically had no acting experience.
Yeah.
No professional acting experience. He just was a complete natural.
You could pretty much just say he got thrown in.
He did.
And it was just like, all right, do your best, man.
He didn't have any, he didn't have anything.
Right.
In the way of professional teaching or learn it or, what have you.
Right.
I did want to mention this little thing that says that his mom was extremely proud of him for his success happening in the way that it did.
Compared to Charlie Chaplin's mom that didn't know what the frick was going on.
That also was due to mental illness, which was not her fault.
That's true. That is true.
Okay, and then Price stayed with that show for 2 years.
Yep.
And when it went on tour, he decided to stay in New York.
Right. Yeah, he played the role for 2 seasons at the Broadhurst Theater through June of 1937. In 1938, the following year, or shortly after, he appeared in productions of The Shoemaker's Holiday and Heartbreak House with Orson Welles' Mercury Theater Company.
Mm-hmm, yep.
So he went from one company to the next in a short year or less.
Yeah, and also I'm gonna mention Orson Welles was only 22 years old
Yeah.
when this
yeah,
when this team up first took place.
Jeez. Gosh. And I'm trying to think of Orson Welles. Did he do the popcorn stuff? Or was that somebody else?
The popcorn stuff.
Orson Welles. Was it the Orson Welles Theater popcorn?
Orville Redenbacher. Is
Oh,
the
I was
popcorn
completely
guy.
off.
Orson
Never
Welles
mind.
directed Citizen Kane.
Yeah, okay.
He did the broadcasts over the radio
Yeah.
where he was like, everybody believed that aliens were coming.
Right, yeah.
Because of what he did over the radio.
Don't judge me, people.
There's
Even
a
though they
family.
probably are. Like, oh my gosh.
Like, you thought Orson Welles was the popcorn guy?
Yeah. Get this guy off this podcast.
Thank God the other one knows stuff.
Right, yeah.
There's a Family Guy, really quick. I just have to, that spoofs that.
Do math.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, that one. Come on, do math. No, but there's one that spoofs the Orson Welles thing where he's sitting across in the studio, like, doing the whole, like, the end of the world thing.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a McDonald's across the street, and there's a line.
Oh.
And he's, like, broadcasting, he's like, we all have to get out. Everybody run. We have to run now. And, like, everybody runs, and they all run out. And he's like, no, the workers can stay.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious.
So since we're talking about 1938, a fun little fact also is that Price also came out as being bisexual.
Is that when that happened?
Yeah, in 1938.
Because I knew that he was, but I didn't know when he came out.
Yeah, in 1938. And so, according to his daughter, while married 3 times, his bisexuality was an open secret in Hollywood circles, with his daughter suggesting that his third marriage, when he married, it would be, oh gosh, who did he
Coral
marry?
Brown was his third marriage.
Was it Coral Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yeah, in 1974.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so in that kind of a deal, his daughter suggesting that his third marriage was what they called a lavender marriage. So a lavender marriage was a term he got married for real.
Well, yeah,
but,
I know they really married, but yeah.
Yeah, but then it's a term used to describe kind of like a marriage between a gay or lesbian person and a straight person to conceal their sexual orientation. Mm-hmm. So they were pretty much thinking it was kind of that.
I mean,
once
but
it
he
came
was
out and whatever.
bisexual, so he wasn't just full on like
right.
He was like either or.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so.
I mean, she said that he would definitely had marriages and fell in love with women, but he also enjoyed the company of men also. So obviously bisexual. Mm-hmm. So in a way, that's pretty much what he was doing. And
you know what? I actually I've only found out that he was bisexual about 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
I never knew that before.
Yeah, and I never knew that. So
I actually wasn't sure. I wasn't sure when. I mean, I was sure that it seems like the kind of personality that he had, he would have eventually come out.
Yeah,
and wouldn't have been afraid of it. I didn't know what year he actually did.
Which definitely kudos for him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, especially in that time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was just gonna say in 1938, it's like,
and everybody still loved him. I mean, I'm sure he got some lashback from people, but
I'm sure.
I'm
sure. But then, yeah, I mean, at that point in time, he's already like established himself really well too.
Right.
That it's like, well, yeah, I mean, love is love.
Exactly. I don't understand why more people can't. Get
right. Yeah, I know. But then, so with that kind of correlating into that, Price was supportive of his daughter Victoria later on in life when she came out as lesbian and joined the PFLAG.
She's lesbian.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
And as an honorary board member as well.
Nice.
So he was
so cool.
critical of Anita Bryant's anti-gay rights campaign in the 1970s. And then Price was also one of the first celebrities to film a public service announcement to help ally public fears about HIV and AIDS. So he did all that kind of stuff and just represented everything. So that was super
he was
cool.
Just an amazing human being.
Right.
So amazing.
Yeah. So that was pretty awesome.
All right, so then I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit here because I got to mention he met his first wife, Edith Barrett, when he was doing the Shoemaker's Holiday. Actually,
Yep.
He starred with her in that.
Yeah, and I mean,
Oh no, I apologize. Summer Stock, not Shoemaker's Holiday.
But then was she in Shoemaker's Holiday too?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I was just reading the wrong line.
Mm.
It was Summer Stock that he was in with Edith Barrett, rather, in 1936. Their romance offstage blossomed very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
They were married on April 23rd of 1938. In
That's
a very
pretty cool.
lavish, like, upscale, hoity-toity kind of wedding.
Oh, I bet.
You know.
Because why not?
Because he's, there's no way they can't not afford that.
And then they had one son, poet. He was a poet and columnist, Vincent Price.
This is Barrett Price, yep.
Yep. And then Edith and Price divorced in 1948.
Mm-hmm.
From 1941 to 1942, during that period of time, Price played Mr. Manningham in Angel Street. It's pretty much like a Broadway production
Angel
of
Street,
Gaslight,
Yeah.
which he helped bring to New York also.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool too. So I mean, not only did he bring over the oh gosh, I already forgot the name of it. The Victoria Regina, he brought over that one as well.
Right.
Probably, with countless others as well too,
Right.
to go along with that. And then Price married Mary Grant in 1949.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly after he did that, and then they had a daughter, inspirational speaker Victoria Price,
Yep.
we just mentioned a little bit ago.
Yeah.
On April 27th, 1962. So about, here comes math again. 10, 11, 12. So, 13 years later after they got married. Because they married Mary Grant in 1949, and then they had a daughter on 1962.
Mm-hmm.
So they waited like 15 years to have
yeah.
her. Naming her after Price's first major success in the play Victoria Regina, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that was in there, and then the marriage lasted until 1973.
Yeah.
So he kind of went from this person to this person and this person to this person. But
Well,
he then
I'd like to note though that he was married 3 times, but every single one of the marriages was in a significant amount of time. Like his
that
first
is
marriage
true.
was 10 years,
That
the
is
second
true.
one was 25 years,
yeah.
and then the last one, she passed away before him.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what I was gonna say. He married Australian actress Carol Brown. So anybody that's listening out there that are way older than us, if you know Carol Brown, then you know Carol Brown. In 1974, she had appeared as one of his victims in the Theater of Blood in 1973 as Chloe Moon.
Mm-hmm.
So she was one of his victims in the movie where she gets electrocuted to replicate the
Yes.
Joan of Arc style.
Yes.
So the marriage lasted until her death,
That
until
is
1991.
awesome. Dude, we have to watch that one.
I know. And I was looking at different scenes of it and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah,
That one
this
is
looks
so good.
looks right up my alley.
Fibes, and that one,
Yep.
and the House of Wax.
And I really want to see the Tingler.
Oh my god, the Tingler. Did you know when that came out in the theater, they had like the whole like gimmick
Shock.
with the thing under the
Yep.
freaking seat?
Yep.
Dude,
We're gonna talk about
I
that.
would love to have been there when that opened.
That would have been so cool.
I know.
I don't know how it would go in modern day society now, but that would
Dude,
be really cool.
Somebody should do that.
I know.
Somebody should resurrect that. Alright.
But
So,
so he did that, and
mentioning
then
Angel Street, 1941. Okay, so as this production was getting its start, was when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, in the wake of all of that happening, the character that he created for that, this is a quote from the thing that I took this from,
Okay.
created a character who echoed fascist leaders, a charismatic, clever man of murderous self-confidence, end quote,
Sheesh.
was what the,
Caption of it said.
when the review came out of it, what it said.
And then obviously December 7th, 1941 is pivotal point in history that's when they bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and it's so great
That's crazy.
that since that coincided with that gave him some of like the fuel that he needed.
Yeah.
To make, because I haven't seen Angel Street, but I like all the stuff that I saw about it.
Yeah, and he would
it was
be
just like a force on stage, and like the audience was hissing at him and stuff when he came on, and all that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
said that he loved it though.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And he's about 30 years old
He
at
was
that
30
time,
years
so
old then, yeah.
he's already getting to be even more into everything that, he's probably been through it all by then.
Right.
And then, so that's in 1941, and then
Yeah. And then
Yeah, he's
says he returned to
Yeah.
Hollywood after a year with Angel Street,
Okay.
and would go forward to become the Vincent Price that
Thank you.
the world knows and loves. Getting
Yeah.
into his macabre mastery of horror.
And I think that is probably a good stopping point so we can get into the macabre of horror.
Yeah, because that's gonna be a lot.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna go ahead and close out episode 1 of Vincent Price, and stay tuned for episode 2, which will be coming really quick
Coming
here.
up shortly.
Yep. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed the first part of Vincent Price. And this is James.
This is Chelsea.
And you're listening to Lights
Camera.
Action Podcast.